And there are then 71 dreamers encircling it. And they're
What are they doing? Guys, what is this? Why are they, what are these crystals? I told y'all, crystals is demonic, man. You better throw out any crystals you got. This 2022 event just revealed the Antichrist to the world. I don't know if you believe in the Antichrist, if you believe in demonic energy and imagery and all of that, but I tell you who does, the people who run this world. Here we see the 2022 Commonwealth Games commencing, and how do they start off this sporting event? Do they do it by playing a bunch of national anthems or having some pop singer come out and do a cool little dance? No, they do it by erecting literally Baal, a false god spoken of in the Bible. They worship the golden calf. They worship this bull-like creature. The imagery is incredible in an evil way. Let's watch it.
Here it is, July 28th. At the Commonwealth Games, the 22nd Commonwealth Games for 2022. We have these every few years. They've been going on the whole time. The Queen Elizabeth II was queen. It's the largest set of international games in the world after the Olympics. And this year they had 72 nations and territories participating. Roughly, they estimate almost a third of the world's population potentially watching. Okay, the whole British Commonwealth. At this event, Prince Charles opened it in lieu of the Queen. On her behalf. He oversaw the whole thing. He was there in person at the Alexander Stadium in Birmingham, England. Okay. At that event, a giant Molech bull, 10 meters in height, was rolled out into the center of the stadium.
Guys, pay attention. This is the Commonwealth Games. Are you guys even aware of what the Commonwealth Games are? Guys, it's sports. It's literally just sports. It's like the second largest sporting event next to the Olympics. They're playing cricket, they're playing volleyball, they're swimming, they're cycling, they're running track, they're playing soccer. It's just sports, or football to my international viewers. No need to offend you. You know what I'm saying? Oh, this is rugby though that they're playing right here. What in the world is this thing doing in the commencement of the games? What is this evil imagery we're being presented with? Pay attention and watch. Everything will be explained.
To be worshipped and to face a large, recreated, rebuilt, right there in front of everybody, mock Tower of Babel with shards in it. And it begins with a star exploding in our solar system. That's how they introduced this. A lot of CGI initially. They portray a star outside our solar system, or maybe deep in our solar system, blowing up past Saturn. And it explodes a bright star like Lucifer. That's what it is, exploding.
All right, so remember, Lucifer is oftentimes regarded as day star, right? Or the angel of light. He is the light bearer. Lucifer, the light bearer. Illuminati, the illuminated ones. Oftentimes, you see Jesus is also referred to as the light in the book of John, right? Why is Lucifer now being referred to with this imagery or these metaphors are around light? It is because Lucifer is the false light. He's like one of those bug zappers that draws moths in and then kills them. It is the false light. That is what, you know, not everything that glitters is gold. That's where that whole ideology comes from. It's a facade, it's shiny, but it's actually worth nothing. It's worth less than nothing. It will kill you. And that is the light of Lucifer.
She picks this thing up and she prays to it, whispers to it and prays to it. Then she takes us back to her home. All these others, these 72 dreamers, there's 72 of them total, including her, pick their shards up and they take them to their homes. As soon as they do, there are anti-gravity effects in their homes. Things start to float in the air, and then their homes are lifted up off the ground with these people in them, and they float.
So this is, of course, being watched on some kind of big screen at the event. They're setting the premise for what happened, so I hope you're following along here. But now you're going to actually see them bring out this demonic idol that they're going to worship. 2 million views this video has. People are waking up.
Lakes and forests and so forth. To Birmingham, England, to be over the stadium. All these homes floating over the stadium, and then they land. And the dreamers exit them in front of the audience. And they have the shards in hand.
Mm-hmm.
The bull then comes onto the stadium, pulled by slave women, slavish women on chains. The bull, they portray this, rebels and detaches from the chains. And these female slaves who've been driven like by somebody who's kind of like a Roman, a demon, whatever, because he didn't quite look like a Roman, are freed, right? So now the bull and these women are freed, and they pretend they're afraid of each other. And the bull goes on to the center of the stadium.
For anyone who wants to deny the clear Luciferian demonic imagery that is being presented with us by these powerful and wealthy people at the Commonwealth Games, if it is not for the sake of worshiping Lucifer and spitting in the face of God and Jesus, I would like you to give me a reasonable, rational motive for doing all of this nonsense and what any of this got to do with sports. Makes even more sense if you read the Old Testament.
Stella wanting to appease this thing so that they're not killed by this Molech idol.
And you heard he called it Molech, right? He's also known as Baal. Either way you want to put it, these are variations of Lucifer that have been presented in the past, right? So here we got imagery of Baal, this bull-like false god that men would make sacrifices. They would make child sacrifices to this. Not ironically, they had the King of England, previously the Prince Charles. You guys got to look into his history in regards to his interactions with, let me not go there because I ain't trying to get Kanye'd, but look into it. But here they have literally Baal or Molech, however you want to describe him, a false god who in the Old Testament people would sacrifice children to in worshiping him. Why would they do this?
There are multiple stages to this, so I'm going to be skipping over some things, but this bull kind of calms down. It's facing the Tower of Babel this whole time. And at times there are flames like the towers, like the flames of hell all over.
Also, if you are unfamiliar,
this Tower of Babel.
I'm gonna pull it up and show you.
And then later, Stella gets atop it and rides it as the woman riding the beast.
Mm-hmm.
And there are then 71 dreamers encircling it. And they're
what are they doing? Guys, what is this? What are these crystals? I told y'all, crystals is demonic, man. You better throw out any crystals you got. Yeah, they lifting up crystals. They worshiping this woman on this bull. You know what I'm saying? They trying to push that, I can't even say the A word. They trying to push that stuff. It was Eve that was deceived, not Adam. It's Adam's fault we in the position we in, but it was Eve that was deceived. Never forget that.
Bowing down to this thing, worshiping it, and literally doing a New Age worship ceremony with their crystals before this thing, and inviting the whole Commonwealth to join them in this worship. And who's overseeing all of this? Prince Charles.
Yeah.
And then the woman's riding the beast, right? And as we get toward the end of the ceremony, and there are a bunch of songs, by the way, they're accommodating this with significant lyrics, okay? And I won't go into that, but it's all documented in the book. At the end, as it's getting dark.
Which book is this?
This is going to be in the second edition of the Antichrist Cup of Tea. One reason it's a little bit delayed is I have to get this in there. It's too critical. Okay? Right there at the end, the bull is rearing back. So it's rising up on its front feet.
All right, check this out.
Okay, and it's encircled by the flags of all these nations, the 72. They've literally placed their flags at the base of this thing. So not just worshiping it with their crystals and all the rest, and not just
all the nations, right? All the nations shall bow to Baal, right? I.e. Lucifer, the devil, Satan, right? That's what's going to happen, the coming of the Antichrist. Just wait on it. TikTok is a means for distracting you from the coming of the Antichrist. I said it.
And all the nations, by the way, their names have gone across this tower already. At this point, been displayed on its surface.
Second largest sporting event next to the Olympics. This is happening. This is not happening in some basement of some weird restaurant. This is happening in plain sight. That's where we've gone with it. They're doing it right in front of your eyes and laughing at you because they've also convinced you that God isn't real and that you evolved out of an amoeba. Are you silly? Stop being silly. An actual beluga says crystals are a natural material from the earth, just like any other thing. You can use the materials of the earth for good and for evil. A metal hammer can be used to build a house or crack a skull. And I 100% agree with you. An actual beluga. Thank you again for the 10-piece. Perfect. Yes, no, you are 100% right. You know what I mean? But the intention behind things is what matters. When you go to these new age crystal shops and you are buying these healing crystals and these spiritual alignment crystals, they are carrying a demonic energy with them because that is what they were made for. If that's what you're buying them for, healing and chakra alignment and all that, that is witchcraft, that is demonic things. There's a reason why witches buy them. So I'm not saying that anything of the Lord is inherently evil. God made goats. There's nothing inherently evil about a goat. But we know that the goat has become associated with demonic sacrifices. The goat is the image of Lucifer. You feel me? So there is nuance. I agree with you. But I am telling you that whenever you see people with crystals around their neck and crystals in rings, whether or not they realize it, they are participating in demonic activities. They're inviting evil spirits to dwell amongst them because they're buying into this nonsense of being able to impact your life in some way through the use of crystals. Now, if you was just walking along a beach, you know, and off in the distance is a dormant volcano, and you find a crystal on the ground and you just think, oh, this is a pretty rock, and you bring it home and put it on your desk, is that a problem? No, of course not. Because God made that, and all things that God makes, you know, are his creation. God doesn't make evil things. But if you get it from a new age store, the owner is probably a practicing witch or warlock. I would highly recommend you not take that into your house.
And they ascend visibly through the tower. And as they get toward the top of the tower, they form this ball, the original star that blew up, reconstituted, and then it rises above the tower, and you get this huge disco-like ball atop the tower that's lit up very brightly, and a beam of light goes between that ball and the chest of the ball. Now it's nighttime.
Look
at
this
point.
Imagery. They're putting in so much work to tell a story here, guys. This is so clearly a specific story that they are trying to tell. What is the story?
In Alexander Stadium, an open-air stadium. So you can see these lights, but they're portraying the rebuilding of the Tower of Babel in our day, with Lucifer.
Those of you who are unaware of the Tower of Babel, it is spoken of in the Old Testament. After the flood, the Tower of Babel was the attempt of a pagan society, a society that had gotten away from worshiping Yah, worshiping God, and they were attempting to build a tower to reach God. Some people believe they were trying to reach the firmament that sits above the sky. Whichever way you want to put it, they were attempting to reach build a tower that would ascend up to God. And God confused their tongues, that is, made them speak different languages. And this is why we have all the variations of languages we have today. Have you ever wondered about that? Why is it that so many languages exist if we all came from the same people, and so many complexities in the variations of the different languages? Well, this is the reason. Here we see in this show or in this movie or this video, whatever, they're attempting to actually rebuild the Tower of Babel, but they're using that as imagery. Kimber, the reason we have so many different races, this is true. Here's the thing, guys. It wasn't the different races that came up with the different languages. It was the different languages which created the environment for different races to arise. Because what do you think happened? God confused the tongue of everybody, right? And so now that greatly limited the pool of people with which you would be able to communicate with. So let's say God confused the tongue. Before, everyone spoke one language, but then now some people speak Hebrew. These Spanish and Portuguese and French, these are more modern languages. But let's just for argument's say that. What do you think is going to happen? All the people who can speak French, they're going to group together and go off and do their thing. All the people who speak Spanish, people who speak Hebrew, they're all going to go off and do their own thing. And so that's where that all comes from. At least that is the theory that makes the most sense to me after reading the Bible. I just wanted to show you, I wanted to make you aware of what is going on in the world, and to allow you to realize that the very same people that are funding, you know, media propaganda that make you question the reality of God, makes you question the Bible, makes you question all these creation and all of that. These are the same people that are putting mad money into building this kind of imagery. They're participating in it and working out. Why is that? The same thing they're trying to convince you is nonsense. They're putting all these resources into creating and pedestalizing, right? They're making it's clearly significant. This is what I'm trying to say. It's clearly significant, right? The king is there. The Prince Charles is there. You know, they're doing it at one of the most important sporting events of the year. Guys, they believe in this stuff. All of them. They believe in it. They don't want you to believe in it because they're actively serving Lucifer, and they want you to continue passively and subconsciously serving. They don't want you to come to the truth about Jesus. There is nothing that you will lose in this world by submitting your life to Jesus. You know what? I take that back. There are a few things. You might go through some hardships for the persecution of being a Christian. That is a possibility. And also, you will be closing certain doors to yourself, right? You won't be able to sell your body or sell your soul for the sake of making a buck or for getting famous, sure. But as the Bible says, what does it profit a man to lose his soul and gain the world? Right? You will be here for an instant, a blink of the eye. You live here on earth, or the earth, which was originally designed to be heaven here, right? This is what earth was originally designed for. It was a perfect creation, and Adam and Eve were a part of that perfect creation. But after it fell, earth became a testing ground. It is basically a place where we are able to prove to God that we want redemption by putting our faith in him. And so after we die, you will either go to heaven or to hell based on whether or not you have salvation. You, again, get salvation, as it says here in Romans chapter 10, verse 9, which might now be my favorite verse. All you got to do to attain salvation is this right here. If thou shalt confess with thy mouth the Lord Jesus, and shalt believe in thine heart that God hath raised him from the dead, thou shalt be saved. But remember, to believe doesn't mean to agree. It's not enough to agree that Jesus is Lord, or God. It is not enough to agree that he was raised from the dead. You have to believe, and to believe means to act as if you know it is true. How would you act if you knew that Jesus Christ was God and that he was raised from the dead? You would do what he says. Where does he say what he says? In the Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. Go read them. Listen to him, do what he says. Love the Lord God with all your heart, mind, and soul, and love each other as you would love yourself. That is what it takes. Follow Jesus. That is the secret. That is how you become saved. And they are trying to hide this information from you while they are laughing and spitting in your face, worshiping Molech at the Commonwealth Games. It's absolutely ridiculous.